Joining us now, Republican House of Delegates member, District 99, Central Virginia, Margaret Ransone. Delegate Ransone, great to have you with us.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I was really upset the way you were treated yesterday. And I know you're a big girl, but I think there should be a certain level of decorum amongst those that are come to committee hearings and voice their views. You were heckled, you were ridiculed, people turned their back on you, they wouldn't let you speak. And I'm not a Virginia native, but when I came here, everybody told me about the Virginia way. Well, that certainly wasn't demonstrated to me yesterday in the hearing. Will you share that with our audience, Margaret?
Absolutely, yes. Look, this has been happening in my subcommittee. It has progressively gotten worse over the past 3 years. I knew that yesterday was probably going to get bad, so I actually moved the committee room where we're going to host the hearing. And but it was great. You know, both patrons were very respectful. And at the end, when we were about to take the vote, what I wanted to do was address my position. And I know we disagree, and that's fine. That's our right. It's our right to have opinions. But when I wanted to speak to the young girls in the audience, the crowd just went totally hysterical. No, and covered the young women's ears. And what I wanted to say to them was they can do anything and they can accomplish their goals if they work hard, because that is their right in the Commonwealth. All they have to do is work hard. They can accomplish it. They don't need this amendment to do so. Well, they just were going hysterical over that. But, you know, John, here is what is interesting. The mob mentality that is taking over politics now is frightening. And it's not just in this committee. It's in all of them. It's this idea of if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong. And that's frightening, and it's happening in all of our committee rooms. So I think that we need to take that into account. You know, I was raised to respect people, and this style of behavior is so out of character. It's just not civil anymore. I come from a district where before me, Taylor Murphy served, Albert Pollard, and they were Democrats. I always respected them. I didn't always agree with them, but I looked up to them. I looked up to their manners and the way they handled themselves. And I look up to the leaders on the other side of the aisle, the women and the men. And like you said earlier, the gentleman way, the decorum has just gone way out of the window. It's just crazy.
Well, look, I know you were upset yesterday in the fact that you wanted to have the opportunity, as you have in your office many times, I know, to give your message to young women, which is basically, look, you can do anything you want to do in any capacity, and you're not restricted by anything. And certainly an ERA amendment or some piece of legislation is not going to make a difference to you if you want to get something done. I mean, that's basically your message, which why wouldn't anybody want? Whether you pass the ERA legislation or not, and as you know, I'm in favor of it for political reasons. I could care less one way or the other. It's a symbolic vote, and I'm going to be long dead by the time it ever gets through litigation. But my thing is, what you're saying is to a young lady, and I wish you would say it to my daughter, look, you don't need any kind of an amendment to do whatever it is that you want to do in your life in America. And, I mean, what a great message that is. Pass it or not, you still have the power to do whatever you want in this great country. Why then people would be covering the ears of young ladies and heckling you for giving the message of hope and love and prosperity and opportunity, it's sick to me. And you're right, there is a mob mentality. We're with Margaret Ransone, Republican House of Districts member. She is from District 99. She represents the northern neck of Virginia. If you don't know where that is, if you're listening to me nationally, part of Virginia has a peninsula. It's bounded by the Potomac River on the north, the Rappahannock River on the south. And so there's some counties in there that we commonly hear call the Northern Neck. Delegate Ransone, your committee squashed the ERA 4-2. Tell us about what that vote means and what happens next.
Well, there's a possibility they could bring it up in the full committee on Friday. And we'll meet, we'll see what happens. I think that we have the votes on full committee to stop that again, and we'll go from there. Of course, Chairman Cole, he chairs that committee, and he is not in favor of this amendment either. So we'll have to see what happens on Friday.
Delegate Ransone, what is the committee that Cole chairs? So our audience knows.
That's the full Privileges and Elections Committee.
Right. So this has already passed the Senate. So if it gets out of committee, it's going to go to the full floor. Obviously, it's going to pass the Senate. It's already done that. And
it did pass.
It's already passed the Senate. I'm sorry. And Eileen Filler-Corn, the minority leader of the House of Delegates for the Democrats, has told me that it will pass if it gets to the House floor, that she has more than enough votes needed. So basically, if you don't stop this in committee, it is going to go to the floor, it is going to pass, and it's going to be signed by the governor, right? Or does it even have to be signed by the governor? I always forget that. I don't even know.
It will not have to be signed.
Right. It will not have to be signed. So let me just ask you this, Delegate Ransone. And again, I'm sorry for what you had to deal with the other day, and I've only got a couple minutes you got to take off. Are you at all concerned, like I am, about the political ramifications if you defeat this bill in committee and it never gets a full hearing on the floor? Are you concerned that the Democrats will punish Republican candidates in swing districts by targeting suburban women and saying that they voted against their equal rights? Are you concerned at all about that, Margaret?
Absolutely. I'm always concerned about my colleagues, 100%. Just like I said, with the mob mentality that I saw, excuse me because I'm choking on water, I am concerned. But what's important is that we do what's right. We always do what's right. You mentioned earlier, we have to come up here and focus on taxes. We have to focus on businesses. We have to focus on roads. We have to focus on education. But symbolic votes like this that are going to be hung up in litigation, lawsuits for years, I think we have to focus on the things that are right at the kitchen table. And that's what we have to spend our time doing. We're only up here for 2 months. 2 months. And this has taken up so much of our time. I know we disagree on it, but I would ask families and businesses and the folks that are listening to your station today just to get out in the community and remind everybody what's important right now for the sake of our nation, for the sake of the Commonwealth. And that is our main things that are keeping our nation alive.
So we agree on that.
This is a political statement. If you could have been in that room yesterday.
Right. For those that are in favor of it, they've been fighting this battle, I guess. I remember reading about this when I was in college in 1977, and I think the opposition was led by Phyllis Schlafly. And that was 1977 was a long time ago when I was in college. So 50, 60 years, whatever, it's kind of been around for a long time. Those that are in favor of it are very passionate. I get it. I get both sides. But to your point, why bottle this thing up in committee? Just go to the floor, vote on it. If it passes, rah, 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 the other way, whatever. Move on and let's focus on the things that matters. Like one of the best tax cut plans in Virginia that I've ever seen that Kirk Coxbacks, that Tim Hugo put forth. I just don't see why this is a hill to die on for anybody. I get the ideological aspects of it, but I think it's really going to hurt Republicans trying to maintain that speaker's gavel if it is bottled, if it is defeated in committee. I mean, it's one thing if it's defeated on a full floor vote, but it's tough when it's something like this gets squashed in committee. And so we'll see what turns out. But I appreciate your passion, and I'm sorry for what you went through the other day, Margaret, yesterday.
I'm a tough woman. It's all good.
All right. Thank you for being with us. I really appreciate your perspective. Delegate Margaret Ransone, 99th District Republican in the Northern Neck of Virginia. Thanks for being with us.